Good evening. It's James, Empty Pockets Podcast on Rumble, Jimmy Pockets YouTube channel. I was wanting to get on here. It's not going to be a long live stream. I wanted to do a second segment today. I'm probably over the stuff I went over this morning because the news just came in. I mean, we have all kinds of things going on, and it's something worth talking about. So saying that, the title of today's live stream is "The Democratic Party is Coming Apart at the Seams." Since they don't have substance, they resort to foul language, name calling, same old, false narratives. I mean, the list can just go on and on and on. I mean, you got Hakeem Jeffries, Jasmine Crockett, Al Green, Eric Swalwell. I mean, and there's so many more that I just don't have listed here. Every time they get in front of a camera, they want to. And Hakeem Jeffries seems to think that the Republican Party is on the run. The Democratic Party's got the Republicans on the run. They're showing the American public what the Republicans are all about. What's up, Rusty? Looks like it's just me and you right now. I didn't do it on my Empty Pockets garage channel tonight because I did it this morning on that channel, so I figured I'd do the Jimmy Pockets, which, let's be honest, doesn't have near the subscribers that my original channel does. Although I keep warning everybody, you better switch over because it's coming. I'm not going to be on the Empty Pockets garage YouTube channel doing this anymore. So I did get your message, Rusty, and I had a chance to look at some of it, but I got preoccupied with something else. I'm gonna do the deeper dive because I was like you. I am a fan of Glenn Beck because he stood his ground when they wanted to get rid of him at Fox News. And so, and I have yet to dig into his whatever darker side he may have in his past that I don't know about. Hey, Francis, how you doing? Dave, how you doing? Oh, what'd you do? That's right, Rusty. You have 2 logins. So, anyways. I started out this live stream tonight talking about how the Democratic Party is coming apart at the seams. They're dangerous, though, because it's like any means necessary. That's what they do. That's a dangerous way to do things, any means necessary. So saying that, like I said, they got nothing left but dropping F-bombs and doing false narratives. But the thing that is more important to me right now is how Elon Musk is being treated. So Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, basically, is doing what he knows needs to be done, which the Democrats, not just the Democrats, most politicians in D.C., they find all kinds of ways to spend the taxpayers' money, but they never want to make any cuts. They just want to keep adding programs. And I don't care what they say. A lot of these programs that they add that they never take back, or you know, whatever. It's kind of like you ever get a levy in your town when you have a levy to do some kind of a special project, but it seems like when the project's done, it seems like that added tax that levy added in there never goes away. It's like once they spend the money and start uh, taking in that tax revenue, they don't want to give it up. So Elon Musk, I mean, his Tesla stocks have gone down. They're setting fires to his Tesla trucks at his dealerships. They're vandalizing them. They're uh, they're shooting up his dealerships. They're setting fires to the charging stations around the country. I mean, like, they are literally giving Elon the Trump treatment. Is basically how I can put that. The Trump treatment. He seems like he's a strong individual, and he knows he's doing the right thing for the right reasons. So, I mean, look what they're doing. None of this stuff is grassroots. From the town hall meetings to where they're being ambushed by Democrat Party, sending in Democratic operatives to protest these town hall meetings and to basically disrupt. Half the time, the town hall meetings ain't even scheduled by the politician, the Republican. It's been scheduled for them. They think it's an event that's been scheduled for them, and the whole time it was scheduled by the opposite party to do an ambush. So they're trying to, as always, false narrative. False narrative. So all these protests against Elon Musk, the American public is not as angry at Elon Musk as the Democratic Party would like you to believe. Act Blue, George Soros and them are behind this. The protesters are paid protesters. How do I know this? Because some of the protesters, because they don't care, they don't really give a shit about what they're protesting, so they don't really have anything against Elon Musk, actually. So they don't mind telling the reporter, yeah, I'm getting paid. That's why I'm here. So I don't know if you've got to seen how they do this, but they're doing it through that old system that hardly anybody uses anymore because everybody uses Facebook now, but they're using Craigslist. You go on Craigslist and type in peaceful protest, and people are being told to go through Facebook. They're being told to go to Craigslist and check for openings if there's going to be a protest in their area. And just recently, it's like in the DC area, it was a 3-day protest against Elon Musk, and it's being funded through Act Blue, and they're paying them $40 an hour. It's right there in the Craigslist ad. I've seen it. So none of this stuff's organic. They're trying to make people think that the American public is more angrier at President Trump and Elon Musk than they really are, because they're really not. I mean, it's between 85 and 90% now approval. It was like 80-20. Now it's like higher than that approval of what they are doing to try to save this country's money, taxpayers' money. Yeah, Rusty, that singer I did the story on this morning. I feel pretty good. I was talking about that story early this morning before all your big boys started doing their little videos. All the people that's got like 500,000, a million followers. I was doing the story already this morning for any of them caught on to it. But yeah, that's I guess that's a failed punk rock band, and that person, the lead singer, who is a transgender singer, uh, is not really gender. He did that because his band was failing, and he knew if he did some kind of thing that's in right now, or was, it would get eyeballs on their band and possibly sell records. And I guess it gave him a little bump of notoriety for being a transgender singer, but he's married to a woman, and sources say, reliable sources say, that he's not really transgender. He's just doing it as a character, so that the left would do things like have him perform at uh, Bernie Sanders' rally. So it's so, everything's so disingenuous on the left. None of them have a really uh, core value that is honest and true. Everything is, it's like, even like Dylan Mulvaney. He did that because these people get hooked on these social media people, not necessarily that rock band, but this rock band, punk band. They get hooked on that 15 minutes of fame, the clicks, the they have a video or TikTok thing that may go viral, and then they start doing more and more outrageous things to keep the views coming in. They get hooked on that, and I don't. It's a mental illness. It has to be. Social media has some good, but it has a lot of negativity to it. I mean, it literally is deteriorating the brains of our youth. I have a firm belief that you lose IQ points the more you stay on social media. And I don't mean like, I mean like, and it depends on what you watch too, but like the Instagram and the TikTok and all that, that stuff is, yeah, easy. That lead singer is a fraud. That's what I mean. They're all frauds. As I was just saying at the beginning of this, Hakeem Jeffries, Jasmine Crockett, Eric Swalwell, Al Green, even, and a whole list of others. They're all frauds. They are scared, guys. They literally are scared. I've done this before. I've talked about the Google searches, the Google trends. They're all running for the hills. And now that Act Blue is under the microscope, those people are exiting the doors too. They're exiting the building. They're gone. They won't give no explanation of why they're leaving. We know the money's drying up. Probably some serious criminal uh, charges that may be coming their way. But this to what I was saying about Elon Musk, true patriot. They're giving him the Trump treatment. His life's in danger. His businesses are in danger. And think about this: these people who work at these dealerships and the manufacturing plants and all that, they're just employees trying to make a living. Their lives are in danger. I mean, these crackpots, they literally, but even the crazy ones, are they really that uh, enraged over all this? Because if they're not making any sense, why they would be enraged over trying to save the government as far as actually saving the country, the taxpayers' money that's we don't really have to spend. It's that old saying: before you can help others, you first have to make yourself put yourself in a position to where you are able to help others. If you're not able to help others, then you just can't. You can't destroy your personal life trying to do the right thing for everybody else, who in the end could care less. You be honest. I mean, a lot of people just have their handouts. They just want free help. Some want a hand up, most of them want a hand out, including all these governments, all these other countries. Yeah, Francis, I hope Elon, he's following the money, and you see where everybody thinks he has like just 6 tech guys. Well, I've seen him in an interview, and he actually has over 100 people on his staff, and they're adding another 100 so he can reach and meet that year deadline that he promised the president to find everything. And then as they're finding these things, they're improving the system for checks and balances through the new AI technology to make sure that this fraud, waste, and abuse is going to be damn hard to do and going forward. I mean, there's no oversight for none of this. I'm telling you what, it's just like the last 2 years, the Biden administration just started throwing money at everybody just to dump it in every left wing cause there possibly can be. All these ridiculous things across the world, all this money, it is all being filtered back into the pockets of the politicians. And Elon Musk is finding it, and they're scared. I mean, I've never seen where somebody wants to stand up and F bomb somebody when all they're doing is trying to save the country some money. Tell me where that makes sense. I can understand if they say, well, the process I don't like, he could have done this better, or in all honesty, here I had a suggestion. And I know I'm rambling like I always do. My suggestion is, so they're claiming that he's doing this to enrich himself even more, like he really needs it. He's losing money, just like President Trump. One of the only politicians in our government that lost money after he got elected. He's worth less now than he was before he got elected. Same thing with Elon Musk. He's worth less now than when he started doing this job. They're not doing this to enrich themselves or their billionaire friends, as the left like to say. Hang on, Rusty. I'm going to try to read your chat real quick. I sent you the article from Reddit. Trust me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was going to talk about that X attack. Did you see where it came out of? Yeah, it came out of Ukraine. What's that tell you guys? Zelensky does not want Trump to win the election. He did not want his uh, money to dry up. He knew if the Democrats stayed in party, the Democrat Party stayed in power, then the money was going to keep coming. Just keep coming. Well, I'm so thankful that enough of us went out and voted and put him back in office. I am. They Yeah, you blame it on the Russia. Uh, Now we're going to blame this on Ukraine, because you y'all know the Russia dossier started in Ukraine. I don't know. Some of y'all may know that. I know a lot of y'all do. Some of you may not. But this whole thing started with the corrupt government before Slowinski, but it was through the Clintons and the Ukraine government that fired that whole thing up, got it started. Now I want to stay on message here tonight, because I don't want to ramble too long, guys, because we could go down a whole lot of rabbit holes. You know that. I want to make my message sound more coherent, uh, instead of just rambling like I do most of the time. But I just want to stay a little bit more on this Elon Musk and the treatment that he's been getting. It is fake outrage, but they'll do whatever they need to do, any means necessary, to try to derail this whole project, because when they pull back the curtains, some of them may be going to jail. And if that happens, there's a lot of they've been a lot, especially the people that's been in government for 30, 40 years, that's been in DC that long. They've made a lot of relationships with all the wrong people, all the right people for them, all the wrong people for us. I mean, the FBI is infiltrated, the CIA is infiltrated, the school board of education is infiltrated, the unions, the government unions. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Secret Service. I mean, the shit gets deep, and it gets deep real quick. Yeah, Rusty, the Clinton Foundation, yeah, exactly. Never, zero audits. It's kind of like the Stacey Abrams in Georgia, how she got that $2 billion where they set up that nonprofit 30 days before they had that allocated to them. And why are we buying people's appliances? And you know what I mean? We all know if there's something that is going to save us energy and we can afford it, we will purchase things as we can afford it. That's being self-reliant. Uh, but when the government hands it to you, somebody's paying for that, and that somebody is everybody else in the country's paying for it. So if you, my opinion on that is, if you can't do it for all, shouldn't be doing it at all. Period. Because it ain't right. We're supposed to be in this together, but we're not. The other side of the aisle could care less about people being self-reliant. They want you to rely on the government, and they don't want nothing made in this country. It's obvious. They don't like manufacturing here. Uh, the thing about climate change, like I said, this all rolls one thing into another. The shit gets deep. The climate changes. This world's had two ice ages in the past. We've had heat waves. They during the Renaissance time, I do believe, or I can't remember when it was. Back when they had the plagues over in Europe, that was a heat cycle. There was no cars back then. I get it that this stuff probably may accelerate certain portions, but it's not going to stop it. No matter what we do, the climate is still going to change. There's nothing we can do to stop that. The earth has its own cycle, and we're just along for the ride. You know, we you can't combat Mother Nature. Yeah, Francis, that's the whole left motto right there. You'll own nothing and be happy. Well, I call bullshit on that. You know, I the American dream is to own something, to be able to keep what you earn as much as possible. We all know taxes has there has to be some way to fund first responders and all that. You know, in the roads being repaired and upkeep. But let's be honest, we pay a ton of taxes, and it seems like none of this stuff improves. It's always getting worse. So mismanagement, but mismanagement on purpose. That's how I see it. They were able to do this in the 50s with no problem, the 60s with no problem. They started having problems in the 70s, but then the politicians started making that happen. And 4 years of Jimmy Carter did not help us at all. It did not help us at all. But that's in the past. We got to deal with right now going forward. We got to find all this corruption. We got to cut it out. We got to cut it out of the system. We got to make them understand with there's consequences to what they've done. And I'm glad that Marco Rubio uh, took the recommendations of Elon's group, Doge. Think about this. Out of all the money spent in USAID, 83% of it was not even needed. Not even needed. What the fuck? 83% of waste. Now, it's one thing if you have like 25%, 30% waste. That's not really acceptable, but it's more acceptable than 83% of waste. So 5,200 contractors just had their contracts canceled. Now, here comes the lawsuits. Uh, it's a waste of their time for the most part. Some may win. It depends on the situation of the contract, but most will not. All it is gumming up the works. They're probably being helped with George Soros and them to help with these lawsuits just to make it harder for the Trump agenda to be fulfilled. But all it's going to do is slow it down. It's how you do it. Yeah, it's just 83%. Think about that. So, you know how that works. They have so many ways of getting money back into the politicians. So all these nonprofits, they get created like on the spot within 30 days. It's like and I'll go back to the Stacey Abrams deal in Georgia. Who is the genius that says that a nonprofit that is less than 30 days old, that has no history of spending money correctly in a meaningful way, gets a $2 billion grant? And that's happened time and time again. So here's how this happens. Here's how the money gets kicked back. In case y'all haven't really thought about this, So you take a nonprofit. So nonprofits have to have employees. They have to have like basically a CEO or somebody who's a chairman who's running things. Uh, so they pay these people an absorbent amount of money. Uh, like low end employees of a nonprofit is like 60 grand. And then like the person that's in charge may make 350 to $500,000. Now, how that works is they will earn, let's say, $350,000, and then they decide they donate $100,000 to their favorite campaign, or you know how they do it. There's certain things you got to do with campaign finance. You got to put it through like a super PAC and something else, but the money trickles back to the back pocket of the politician. That's how that happens. So all people that get paid, they have to pay a certain portion that they're getting back into the till uh, for getting that large grant uh, to basically blow the taxpayers' money. And then the politicians. So you figure each nonprofit, because I mean, look, these not all nonprofits, but 5,200 contractors. And a lot of those are through nonprofits. So imagine how if kickbacks from each one of those goes back to the person that like champions that project who wants it done. You know, the $2 billion came straight from Kamala Harris. So we know that she got a little bit of kickback from that $2 billion. So, and all these, and this is only U.S. aid. I mean, look at the EPA, all the money they're finding already. I mean, they are literally, was it $4 billion a day is what so far just found and said. That's what they're averaging, $4 billion a day. But that's just peanuts. If you hear Jasmine Crockett and the other Democrat Congress people, peanuts. That ain't nothing. That ain't shit, as they say. I like to have some of them peanuts. So, anyways, I'll get on to the next subject. But yeah, I tell you what though, I got a video. I don't know if I really need to play it. I think I will. Uh, them putting the fires out at a Tesla dealership. The stuff that Elon's having to go through right now. So let me play that, and we'll get on to the next subject. Uh, I'll do this real quick because I'm trying to get better with the videos and everything. So let me kick this in, guys.
My gosh, a Tesla Cybertruck. All right, there's a fleet of Cybertrucks right now. Unbelievable. Seattle fire on the scene.
So you gotta get off the spot.
Breaking news. I'm sorry?
Get off the spot.
All right, you've got dozens of firefighters now putting out flames on the Cybertruck. Absolutely insane. Look, you still see flames right underneath the Cybertruck. As you can see, there are several other Cybertrucks just parked here. The Soto neighborhood here in Seattle, Sunday evening. Seattle fire on the scene, trying to douse the flames on a Cybertruck.
I hate my internet
Clear how
service,
this
guys.
all started, but again, with everything that's happening in America, Elon Musk hate, all the protests and incidents of vandalism, it appears to be arson.
Hey, Chief, how much do you want us to make we can multiply the investigation from the start our
Does this look like arson, sir?
You know, we got our investigator on the way. Too early to know.
Is this the only vehicle that caught fire this evening?
We're still trying to get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
We've got about four vehicles involved in this plan.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much. Right now, there you have it. Seattle Fire saying there are actually several vehicles involved in this. Right now, I just arrived at the scene. It is a Cybertruck that is totally torched. SFD putting out some of the hot spots right now, but apparently there's some other vehicles that have been torched as well in this Tesla parking lot. I'm going to try to get closer right now, but I'm being advised to kind of stay back. This is private property. It looks like this fence again says new inventory only. So these appear to be brand new Tesla vehicles. I see a Model X, I see a Model 3. I also see the Cybertrucks here.
So these kind of terrorist attacks, the Tesla dealerships, are being funded by multiple Democrat NGOs who are coordinating these attacks on the Tesla dealerships, the staffs and the vehicles. The Democrats are becoming increasingly more desperate and violent. And they're just getting started because we're not even 2 months in yet. So they're just getting started on what they're trying to do to help the Trump train. Yeah, mostly peaceful. But like I said, if you're ever curious about if they're the paid protesters, you can go to Craigslist. If you're in your area, if you're curious, you can keep an eye on this. You just go to whatever, like the DC area, they did a 3-day protest. They did a ad in Craigslist, $40 an hour to protest Elon Musk. So if you're curious in your area, if you live in a larger area where these kind of things happen common, it don't happen here where I live so much, but out in Oregon, DC, New York, California, these things, but you can keep track of it. And $40 an hour, man, to hold up a sign saying I hate Elon Musk, fuck him. He should die, basically. Yeah, Francis, that's the problem with the only violence they can ever really go to is the J6 deal, which we all know that there's a lot to that is a lot of shenanigans went on that day to promote that deal to how it escalated. So even then, the Democrats' hands aren't clean on that one either. But yeah, they're the violent ones. The thing is I don't know about you guys, but because we're reasonable, responsible people for the most part, you can only push people so far. You can only threaten their lives so many times. It's like I say this. I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and I had a thing when I was younger. You getting somebody wanting to mouth you about something, and they threaten to whoop your ass. I give them the three time rule. They say it, they want to run their mouth, they keep saying it. And then the third time, I'm assuming they mean it. So then it escalates to where they're going to have to try to do it, because I'm not going to let them say it a fourth time, because I'm not going to be able. I'm not going to accept the mountain for very much longer, because you only get threatened so much, and you you kick back a little bit. The same thing with all this deal. The name calling, the protesting, the vandalism, even though these are Elon Musk vehicles and such, I feel like we need to come to we need to stand up for Elon Musk, and because he's doing a patriotic thing. And I feel like there's got to come a point in time to when they've pushed too far. They've crossed that line. And the thing about at least most of us is we're serious people. We're humorous at time. We don't take everything that serious like they do. They get offended over everything. But when this stuff gets real, then you have to deal with it. And the shit's getting real, guys. CNN nonviolent protests, yeah, nonviolent protest, mostly peaceful. Whole block on fire. Yeah, that little gem of news reporting, Rusty, is going to go down in the history. I think everybody has seen that. But and I'm pretty much done talking about this for the night. We'll move on. I see where they've opened that CP1 cell phone app up for the illegal aliens to use, but they changed it. Now they're offering them the ability to self-deport, to go in, fill it out. I believe immigration, ICE or whatever, is going to help them get transported back to their home country. And if they do that, that gives them the ability to reapply the right way to try to come back into the country, and done crossing the border, it basically is forgiven. But if they don't self-deport, then they'll never be able to be a citizen of the United States if we have to deport them. Well, Rusty, that's the thing. We know there's no going back if we do this. If we get pushed to the point to where we actually have to do whatever's necessary, it's going to be a reign of hell they ain't never thought was possible. Because I don't know about most of you guys, but at least where I'm from, you push a person to that point to where they snap back and cross that line and get violent back, it's not going to end well for the other side, because they think they can just keep doing this, and because we are try to be good Americans and get up and go to work and raise our family and pay attention to the news and try to do the right thing and not really be big into protesting, make our voice heard by contacting our politicians and talking to them if possible the right way. None of this, and if we protest, it is organic. We're not getting paid $40 an hour. Although, man, I could use $40. I could do it undercover. get in there and infiltrate it. But now that I've said it out loud, I don't think I'll probably get away with it because of this. So, with that being said, they've got that app open back up and given the individuals the opportunity to self-deport and give them a pathway to come back into the country the right way. And so, I honestly, it's really more than they deserve, but also they were invited to come. They were invited to come. So, do you put all the blame on them for coming through here through the southern border and doing what they were told they could do? I mean, they are to blame somewhat, but our own government, our own government did this to us, did this to them. Just like the scenario with the Haitians here where I live. They basically uh, brought them in for low wage labor, living in poor conditions in bunkhouses, and exploiting them uh, for them to be here. They're being mistreated. But then you got the rest of them who are playing the system, and the ones who demand things. Give us see here understanding as to how the Civil War was friends against friends, against fathers, relatives. Yeah, that is true, and that's kind of how it would be here too. Because in this situation, because I have family members that votes blue no matter who and won't speak to me, and I've not been near a house in a couple of years now. Yeah, easy. It has been an illegitimate government, but we're trying to right that ship, and the only way we can do it is the way we know the best way to do it, and that's with the power of voting. Uh, so that's what we do. We don't pay people to go and vandalize people's properties or protest on city sidewalks or block traffic, you know what I mean, or do multiple billions of dollars worth of property damage. Because none of that was organic. Y'all know that, right? All the BLM riots and all this shit. That was basically instigated to that point on purpose because they knew they could fool them into doing that. Just like they fooled some of the people on January 6th into doing what they did. They were fooled. Yeah. Easy mail-in ballots don't work. I believe, honestly, uh, election day should be a holiday. Everybody gets the day off. Paper ballots. That's what I believe. You know, not this. The only mail-in voting that you have is the absentee voting, which has always been there because you do have people that are out of the country or on vacation somewhere, but they gotta have a reason, and it's a that absentee ballot has a chain of custody and a signature profile that has to be met, not just willy nilly. You send a whole bunch of ballots to a house, and whoever lived there, it's like we got mail in ballots here. I've owned this house for 8 years now, And I bet we got sent mail-in ballots here for people who probably lived here 15 years ago. So, and then I imagine those same people probably have another address somewhere and had that same mail-in ballot mailed to them at that other address. And there's no one to say or prove that if I was to send in those ballots with those other people's names on it, they wasn't the verifying signatures. So mail-in ballots don't work. I don't really like the idea of ballot harvesting, but in some scenarios, I see the reasoning behind it, but it should be very limited. Let's see. Rusty, UN passed an agenda in 2021 to remove web domains completely if they seem it supports hate speech. The UN is the most neglected news. Well, it's funny about the UN. Uh, their agenda is not America's agenda. We no longer, our core values of what we believe in this country no longer aligns with all these other members of the UN. I mean, they're constantly voting against us on things. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Francis, they did use COVID. That was the basis for all this. They used a, what is it they say? Never let a tragedy or something like that go to waste or whatever. So they used it to their advantage. I mean, right now the Democrats are acting like pretty ignorant, but before Trump threw them off their game, Democrats are uh, pretty smart in some aspects, but smart in an evil way. Not, you know, they like to claim they're doing it for the American public. All these sob stories about people with their jobs and all this Medicaid, Medicare, all this people's gonna die. Now, if you guys have been into politics as long as I have, how many times have you heard that very same line from the Democrats on just about every subject that a Republican tries to get passed a bill or whatever, or some kind of cut on something? It's always people going to die. It's like this USAID. What they say about it? Oh, you're removing all this money from all this humanitarian aid all across the world. People are going to die because Elon Musk wants to enrich his friends. Bullshit. It is all bullshit. Smart like the mob. That's a good way of putting it, Minnesota. It is smart. You're exactly right. That is a good way of putting it. They are smart like the mob. Uh, Instead of putting so much effort into doing good, they put all that effort into doing bad, and not bad in a way that they're trying to. Well, no, it is bad because they're trying to destroy the America that we know. So that's bad. So I'll retract what I was getting ready to say. I was going to say that they do things to enrich themselves, but not necessarily always uh, bad. Sometimes they try to do something good, you think, but then when you figure it all out in the end, it was a big ruse to enrich themselves in one way or another. Kickbacks. So, that you'll have that. Uh, right now, they're getting their ass kicked. They can't stand it. Um, I always said whenever I debated a libtard, somebody on the left, I knew how I won the debate is because the last things I would hear out of their mouth is "fuck you." I won the debate. So what are you hearing out of all these Democrat politicians' mouths? They're dropping the F-bomb. They're dropping about every cuss word you can imagine. I mean, they're doing hood rat dances through the halls of the Capitol. They're doing all these cringe videos where they're all saying exactly the same thing, holding a little mic. I mean, almost to the letter, the exact same thing. And it's supposed to be organic. It's like they really mean what they're saying. Retarded. Downright retarded. So I talked about uh, like the Christians uh, over in Somalia, that the 70 Christians that had their heads cut off and was beaten and all piled in a church over there. You know, that seems to be the thing that I've said it before, that is the only religion that people like to shit on, and they get no kickback on it, no pushback. Uh, if you say something else about another religion, oh, you'll have hell to pay. But Christians ain't shit in this world. So I seen where over in Syria, the radical Islamic extremists are rounding up the Christians in that country and they're murdering them. I don't know if you guys seen this story or not. I got a video of them throwing them in, just piling them in trucks. They just throwing them in the back of trucks. They're still alive, but they're just piling them on top of each other in back of pickup trucks. Going to haul them away to execute them. Can you imagine what's going through their minds? Because they know what's going to happen to them, and there's nobody helping them. I mean, it's something needs to be done about that. Of course, China has already proclaimed that Islam is a mental illness. So, saying that, when you've got these extremists going to murder all the Christians in Syria, there has to be some kind of mental illness to that to say that's okay. That's fine. They're just following their Quran or whatever they follow. And I'm not too educated on everything in their scriptures that they read, that they live by, other than willing to die to be a martyr so they can get their 72 virgins. Easy, you're saying that's Lindsey Graham's voice. Islamic extremist? Yeah, I remember back when Trump was in office the first time, and he pretty much talked about all that, and uh, Islamophobia when he halted the traveling from those countries over to here because we needed a pause. Everything's a pause. They act like it's forever when they just put a pause on something. Let's find out. Let's vet these people better before we let them in our country, because those countries promote terrorism. So remember that he was Islamophobic. He was racist. He's everything and under the sun. What we got here? China's right. Those augers are over there. Yeah. Matter of fact, I've got the video of that. Uh, so let me play that where they are throwing them in the back of the pickup truck. It's a real quick video, but it just goes along with what I'm saying. And I'm bringing receipts as I make accusations. I'm bringing receipts along with it so I don't get called something later. Let's see. Moderate Muslims who overthrew Assad. Choppers. Although now Islam is the religion of peace, perhaps they are taking the Christians too. Well, let's see if you think that's maybe I'm reading the video wrong, because I had that kind of issue this morning with the video from that synagogue in Brooklyn where they found the tunnel with the stained mattresses and the baby high chairs. Now I haven't heard anything else about that since I showed that video, so I'm still looking into that. But let me find this other video real quick and play it. And like I said, it's not very long, but it just goes along with what I'm talking about. There we go.
يعني عليك هذا اجر يا اخي بالحب اللي نعمرها
All right, I'm back. Lost full connection there. Internet's jumping crazy, jumping all over the place. All right, so yeah, Rusty, I realized they knew about the tunnels already. It's what they found in the tunnels that was disturbing, at least to me. And like I said, after watching the video a couple more times, I thought when I first saw it, I thought the rest of the Jewish community that was in that synagogue was trying to fight the police to keep this guy from getting arrested. But the more I watched it, the more I think they were fighting the police to get to this guy. So there was a couple theories floating around this morning during the live stream, which is they could have been housing illegal aliens under there in the tunnels, which is possible. And then, of course, I took it to a darker side, but we won't get into all that until I get more information on that. That's pretty much something that is just on pause for the moment. But there ought to be something that we can do uh, in Syria about what's happening there. I mean, and I don't know if there is or isn't. It just seems like, the UN is all about humanitarian uh, rights and stuff, but yet nobody's going there to the aid of these Christians. So, you know, I'm kind of at a loss on that. I don't know exactly what to do. I just want to talk about it, and awareness is always something better than not talking about it, I guess. I don't really know. I kind of not the best spokesperson for something about that. I wish there is something we could do. If there is, I hope we can do it. Yeah, Rusty, I remember you telling me about the original Bible for the Jewish people was not good. Like I said, I'm dyslexic, so I'm just going to look into see if there's an audio version. Uh, I, I haven't got that far yet today. Um, Before I get off here, I wanted to. I, I contacted a gentleman, a YouTuber. Um, his content is all uh, the, for the black community, stuff that they go through. Most of the I find it fascinating when I watch this. They have these panels, of 4, 6, 8 people, and even though I know it's more for the black community, I like to educate myself on as much things as possible. And of course, a lot of their subject that they talk about is the same things that we all go through. But the one thing that they talk about that not necessarily the gentleman that hosts the panel, but some of his participants have drank the Kool-Aid about how this country is more racist today than it was 30 years ago. And when they talk about uh, the white community, a couple of them, and believe it or not, it's usually the ladies that do this. They keep wanting to jump back to the 60s and the fact that they were brought over here against their will in the bottoms of ships and forced into slavery, and how you know although they couldn't say they knew any family members that were lynched back in the day or anything like that, they keep wanting to bring this stuff up, and then they kind of lump us, like me. I'm almost 60. I wasn't even around for any of that back then. My mother didn't raise me that way, but yet they see me and they assume that I am from that era. And they don't. I guess they don't realize how old that those people usually or should be by now, if they're even still alive. Some of them are. Don't get me wrong, but they're up in their 80s. And so, anyways, I contacted this gentleman, this YouTube content creator, and uh, basically asked for an invitation to be part of their panel. And I even mentioned this as a subject I would like to talk about, because I feel like if we have a conversation, because they don't usually they have had white people on there before, but it's been very rare, and it's never been about this subject. But I feel like if I can break some of the myths, because they have drank the Kool-Aid, they've been duped, they've been convinced to stay into this victimhood mentality, and it's kind of disappointing and disheartening that you think that they still think and feel this way. And what can one do to overcome this and have a serious conversation with them and hopefully give them my point of view and you know say they say racism plus power. You can't be racist unless you have power. And they equate the entire white population as being the people in power. Well, I disagree with that. I don't think it has anything to do with whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Chinese, whatever. It's more about economic power because the 2% of this country that basically control things treats us like shit just like they treat them like shit. They lie to us just like they lie to them. It's easier to say that it's because of the color of their skin because it's a visual. But there's other visuals that those 2% look for when they want to look down on you and stop you from moving into their neighborhood or make it harder for you to do that. Is the fact that so it's not as obvious because I may have the same color skin as those individuals, but see anymore that 2% that's in charge ain't always white, but they look for little tells, how you dress, how you speak, those things there. They look down upon you just like they would no matter what color you are. So it's a economic uh, cultural imbalance. Uh, what is it they say? The haves and the have-nots. Because those same people they claim are keeping them down are the same people that are keeping most of us down. And it would be hard to get that across to them. I hope that I get to be part of the panel and I can hopefully articulate it well enough to explain it. And instead of them trying to be argumentative about it, because I hate it when they go, no matter what you say, they'll still jump back to the 60s or pre-Civil War or whatever. None of us were there. This country has tried to right these wrongs for decades. And what they also tend to forget was they didn't achieve their civil rights by themselves. There were people that looked just like us that was right there with them. Over 300,000 Northerners died to try to secure and it wasn't all just about slavery, but it was a good portion of it. So there's other people besides them that have a little skin in the game that tried to do the right thing back then, tried to do the right thing in the 60s, and ever since then. they wasn't alone. But if you hear some of them talk, they act like they was. They act like they secured all this stuff on their own, like they forced the white population to give them these rights and all this other stuff. You know, the harsh truth of it is, if we were all that evil as they seem to think that we are, because they lump everybody as, just like they don't want to be lumped as just all black people because they're individuals. They do this, but they do that very thing to us. The thing is, the harsh truth of it is, at least, and even back then, they were even less of the population. At 13% of the population, they were even less than that back then. If we were all that evil, do they really think they would have succeeded in getting the Civil Rights Act passed, or been in the positions where they are now, where they have the same abilities as the rest of us? There's nothing they can't do that that we can do. They can do it all. They can go to any college they want to go to. They can earn as much money as they want to. They can get into government if they want to. But they still act like they're oppressed. Some of them have drank the Kool-Aid, and they've still got that victim mentality. But I think it's just because they believed in the narrative that the Democrats tried to do, this identity politics. This is bread and butter. Because almost like when you learn how to read, they because knowledge is power. So they've got the knowledge now. They have the ability to get the knowledge just like the rest of us. Nothing's stopping them, nothing's holding them back. But they still act like every cop that pulls them over wants to shoot them. And I've seen them argue this too. So there are more unarmed white men being shot by police in this country than the black community. Now they'll say, well, there's more of us. True, there are more of us. But if you go by the quantity of the ones that are being shot, it still is an out of whack ratio for the number of population. But we don't riot in the streets. We don't make that individual a celebrity and put them up on a pedestal. You know, it's like their culture, they need to fix their culture. I don't know. That's up to them. They're going to have to figure that out themselves. When they literally have more respect for somebody who just got out of prison than somebody who just graduated college. You know, let's take this Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from Texas, talking like she's straight up out of the hood. I was raised more in the hood than she was. She was raised in a better than upper middle class. She went to private schools all of her life. I mean, schools, $35,000 tuition. She went to a good college. I've seen interviews of her when she was still, you know, in the state uh, legislation or whatever she did there. I can't remember exactly what her title was, but she spoke in a articulate manner as she should. She's an educated woman. Where she come up with this idea that, and she didn't really talk a lot about race when she was at the state level. She only started doing that when she got to DC, because she likes to grandstand every time she is in these committees and she gets her 5 minutes. She wants to grandstand. She wants to talk about how her people got their start in this country. We all It's nothing we don't already know. But that was then. This is now. For her to act like some hood rat, it's an act. It's not genuine at all. But she thinks that gets her more cred, street cred, than speaking like a well-educated, intelligent woman. She wants to throw the slang around and the F-bomb and all this other, and just everything's about race now with her. And it's a narrative that she's been taught to talk about, to come from that point of view. It's disingenuous. So I hope to get into this panel of this black community and have a conversation with them on their YouTube channel. And like I said, I hope it stays respectful. If I do get the opportunity, I know I will be, because I'm wanting to educate and communicate and have meaningful dialogue with them, and see if I can't convince them of the feeling that they continuously think they need to have this undertone of rage all the time. I mean, that's no way to live, people. I mean, to stay angry all the time for nothing that you really can, none of them can say in their personal lives today that warrants the kind of anger they like to portray when they talk about this stuff. And they never want to talk about what's going on now. They always want to go back 60 years. 60 years is a long time, considering this country is only 249 years old. Now, I knew before it became a country, there was issues before that, but none of us was there. 5% of the population back then actually owned any slaves, and some black people owned slaves too. Matter of fact, if you were just getting off the boat back just before the turn of the century, the Irish got treated worse than a lot of people. I mean, they starved them out, they beat them, they wouldn't let them work. The Irish was considered dogs. So it's not just the color of your skin. The people seem to find all kinds of way to be cruel to each other. And it's, as we've evolved, which is what I think we've done, is evolved, we've improved on that. The thing is it's almost like they're not just happy with the improvement. And I don't get where they come from. It's like, what are you, when I think about this, it's like, what are you after? what is the point of being so angry and bringing up all these things that happened 60 years ago, 150 years ago, 200 years ago? None of us were there. You can't lump us all in one big group. 5% of the population back then, and it wasn't all white either. So, what outcome are you looking for? That's what I want to know. It just makes no sense, and that they stay in that victim mentality, the oppressed. Like I said, it's easier to identify them because obviously they are different skin color. But the 2% that run this country treat us just as bad. I grew up in a bad neighborhood. We had I live in a little town, guys, little town. Our neighborhood was so bad, the police walked the beat in our neighborhood. My neighborhood stopped at a set of railroad tracks at one end. You had the railroad tracks and then a creek, and then it was a different area. At the other end, we were in a corner. The whole backside of our neighborhood was backed up to this very huge cemetery. We had a 4-lane road on one end and a 4-lane road, and so we was in an L shape with the cemetery. So if you go across those 4 lanes, you're in a completely different world. So because they knew all of us, because it was a troubling, kind of a rough area in our neighborhood, they knew us all. They made it their point to know us all, even for those of us who didn't do anything wrong. It's the fact that we were guilty by association. So I had a friend that lived over, we called it the New Edition, a neighborhood across those 4 lanes. So I was going to spend the night over there because we were going to go, his dad owned a plane, a Cessna, and we were going to go the next morning to go pick it up. It was getting some maintenance done, and I was going to be able to fly in a plane for the first time in my life. I wasn't about to pass that up. So I was walking over there to stay the night. It was the edge of dark. It was getting dark. You think I could? Now I'm white. This is an all white area. But because they recognized me, I got harassed. Pulled over. What are you doing over in this neighborhood, James? I'm going to a buddy's house and we'll stay the night. Why didn't they pick you up? Why are you walking? What's your real purpose over here? I mean, I was getting the 3rd degree. You know, I was 15 years old. So there's all kinds of ways the man profiles people. I've been harassed. I've been pulled over for no reason, just for the simple fact of where I grew up. But those same 2% of people that is in charge of everything, that they like to say oppresses them, which they lump all of us into that 2% for some reason. But those same 2% tries to oppress us just like they try to oppress them. Anyways, I'm hoping I can have that conversation with them. I know probably a lot of this stuff you're probably not even interested in until after the fact. I want to talk about it if I do get to get on the panel. Yeah, Minnesota, it's all paid protests. It has been. Antifa, BLM. Where are they at now? the protests that are going on right now are all done at a smaller level because the money's drying up. I mean, hell, they're paying them $40 an hour to protest Elon Musk. I wonder what they're paying those people that are smashing the windows at these dealerships or setting these trucks on fire or setting the charging stations on fire. What are they paying them? I mean, $40 to hold a sign saying, fuck Elon Musk. I wonder what those other people are getting paid. Because there's a 20% chance that they did it on their own and an 80% chance that they got paid to do it. Because all these people on the left, very rarely is any of it organic from the people. And I mean, they like to do these TikTok videos and stuff like that. That's your typical libtard supporter with the pink and purple hair and oh my God, whatever. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen lately is really a trip. But those are your weirdos. But those aren't the ones setting trucks on fire or doing a drive-by at a dealership and shooting the windows out in a dealership. You know, they're using firearms. They're using explosives. People could get hurt, could even die doing this. And the people that are talking these people into doing that, you think they're going to come to their defense if something like that was to happen and these people get arrested and possibly go to jail for the rest of their life if they do end up harming somebody to the point to where it unalives them? No. But, you know, that is what it is. Guys, I've rambled on long enough tonight. I hope some of this information helps. I know a lot of it you guys already know, but I like putting my spin on it. As Bill O'Reilly says, no spin zone. So I'll probably do a segment tomorrow. Rusty, I seen where you DM me. I'll go look at that as soon as I get off here, see what you sent me. You really ought to come on here some night, Rusty, and let's have a conversation. You know, I say it all the time. You ain't got to turn the camera on. You just mic it. We can talk. I can send you that link. I invite anybody who comes to my live streams that wants to go from the chat room into this room and have an actual verbal conversation. The invitation is there. I will put the email address in the description of this live stream. If you're interested in that, you can send me an email, and then we can set up the next time I do a live stream that you're available, and we get hooked up, and I can send you the link, and you can be part of the live stream. So just let me know, anybody that's interested in doing that, because I know y'all get tired of just hearing moi talk all the time. Although I never really considered myself much as a talker unless I got asked something, and then of course I don't mind giving my opinion when I get asked something. But doing this, not being asked anything, I just find things that interest me in the news, and then I keep talking about it. And then I get off on my other stuff, my little tangents one way or another. But anyways, in case you don't know it, my name's James. If you're on YouTube, Jimmy Pockets is, after this month, the Empty Pockets Garage is no longer going to be politics. So Jimmy Pockets on YouTube, and then follow me on Rumble, Empty Pockets Podcast, for those who are still on YouTube watching me, because I'm going to be doing separate content from time to time on Rumble, so I can be less reserved, in my opinion, because I do filter myself and tone my stuff down a lot for YouTube. But sometimes some subjects require a little angered response. Yeah, Papa. You know, that's what I'm saying. See, I'm almost 60. You're 63, Papa. We grew up in an era when they were already teaching all of us that what happened in the past, in the 60s and before, was bad, was not good. Like I said, they didn't accomplish these things on their own. It required part of the art community to be with them to get this stuff through. So you're like me. I grew up, and I can tell you, I grew up. Like I said, I grew up in a rough neighborhood. My junior high school was almost 70% black and like 32 or 33% white. And let's just say it's usually not the color of your skin. It's from one being oppressed to the other. It's who has the numbers where they feel more comfortable to say stuff out loud to you. Because I got in more fights in junior high school than elementary and high school put together. So, I mean, I've had my fair share of going back and forth with this stuff, and my mother didn't have a racist bone in her body, and she taught us not to have one either. And I'm proud to say that, and I don't believe I do. Now, saying that, I don't mind being blunt. If you can't handle what I got to say, you can accept it or not. You can take it the way you want to or not, but it's not meant to be, met with discontent or anything. Or I think that's the correct word I'm trying to use here. It comes from a good place. That's about the best way I can explain it. Because I've told the story before, and I'm not going to get into it tonight, but I have a middle name. My dad's side of the family didn't show up in America until after the Civil War. So that's where we'll start with that. And then my middle name is my great-grandfather's name, which my great-great-grandfather named him that because my great-great-grandfather worked in the fields with former slaves, and his best friend was a former slave, and he named his son my great-grandfather after that former slave. And my first name is my grandfather's name, and my middle name is my great-grandfather's name. So, there's a history here. So I'm saying they can't lump us all into one big. They just can't. That same 2% that controls this country, that wants to keep most of us down for whatever reason, they do it to all of us. So, anyways, give me a thumbs up. I enjoy thumbs up. I don't get enough of them, guys. I mean, this is quality content. So, but if you don't catch me live tomorrow, I'm gonna do something tomorrow. Every time I get on here, I say I'm gonna do a 30-minute or less, and it never seems to happen that way. So, anyways, appreciate you guys coming in. As always, I enjoy the interaction with the chat room. It's my favorite thing so far. That I ain't found nothing that I don't enjoy more, other than come on here and let's have a conversation. Let's have a talk. I mean, you come and follow us on Saturday nights on Rumble. Free for all Saturdays with Killer Carl. I'm on there every Saturday, unless I'm sick or something. Uh, it's a good time. We talk about serious subjects, but we also uh, make all kinds of inappropriate jokes and laugh our ass off. So it's just a bunch of adolescents. So guys, till tomorrow, y'all have a good night. This is James. Till next time.